yeah, what are we gonna do with that? Are we gonna make bread?
Bread. Soon.
Soon, yeah, we're gonna make it.
Tomorrow.
Well, it's funny that you remember that. We're gonna start making it today. It'll be ready tomorrow, but we're gonna start making it today. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another day/week in my life. So today I'm bringing you guys along for so much cooking and specifically a ton of baking. I have finally dove back into the world of sourdough, and so today I'm bringing you along for not only my first artisan loaf back to the sourdough game, but also different sourdough recipes that I've been trying. I'm also going to be bringing you along for different things I did throughout the week and all of the normal stuff. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. And with all of that being said, let's hop right in. So the first thing I'm showing you is me feeding my starter. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you already know that I have been experimenting with tons of sourdough recipes since my starter became active enough to do so. Right after I miscarried, I decided I wanted to get my sourdough starter going. I had wanted to make this change again for a while, health being probably the #1 motivating factor, but also, you guys know, I just really like cooking. And honestly, let me just scoot ahead to the future. Everything that I have made with my sourdough starter has literally been amazing. So I'm just gonna throw this out there. If you've been debating getting a sourdough starter going and trying sourdough baked goods, I really want to encourage you because you all know I'm a little bit of a hot mess and I have figured out how to do it and it's delicious. So on this day, I decided to follow along to Lisa or Farmhouse on Boone's artisan sourdough recipe. Now, also jumping ahead, this is the only time I've made this loaf. It actually ended up being 2 loaves because this was a lot of work. Now, if I went back and did it again, it would actually be easier the second time around because, I mean, it always is, but also just from doing other sourdough baked goods, looking back at this footage now, I've already changed a lot of the ways that I do things. Like this, for example, I don't actually measure my water on the side anymore. I just watch the scale as I pour the water in because I have a good enough idea of how heavy water is and, you know, how much I'm going to pour in. But at this point, like the footage that you're watching, I didn't. So I measured my water separately. Anyways, it's really just this feeling that I have that like, if you want to do it, I think that's all you need. Like if I can do it, you can do it. And I mean it. I will say, someone asked me on Instagram today about my sourdough starter, and I actually purchased it from our local grocery store, Pilgrim's, and it's a brand, I believe, called Cultures for Health. So if you didn't know that was a thing, you don't have to start your starter from scratch. You can actually buy other people's dehydrated starters, or sometimes I've heard even fresh starter, or local bakeries will sometimes give you some of their starter, or a friend might give you some of their starter. But yeah, I think you can even order starter online. I will also say this, every time I've made a baked good now with sourdough bread or my scones or my bagels or my super easy loaf, which I actually filmed a video for and I'm going to show you guys hopefully soon. Every time I always think like, this isn't going to work. I'm messing it up. So just push past that feeling, try your best to follow the directions, and you really will learn as you go. It feels like every sourdough endeavor I take on, I learn something new about the dough or the air or the temperature or the fermentation time, and learning how it works will also help you. But that I think comes just through trying things. So this is what's crazy, like watching myself do this, I was trying to do a stretch and fold. I could hardly get a stretch out of this dough. Like my dough ball was so formed. So just keep in mind as you're watching me do all of this, and a lot of things on my channel, right? It's not a tutorial. It's just if you can gain some tips from something you see me doing, or if I can just encourage you to try it yourself, that's a big goal that I have. Anyways, this was really difficult to stretch and fold, and it almost turned into like gum, like hard gum, but I kept doing it because there's a really specific time pattern for the whole stretch and fold thing, like every 30 minutes, 6 times or something to that effect. And at this point, I think I was starting to overstretch it, and that's why I was ripping holes into it. I mean, really, this was quite a lofty endeavor for my first sourdough attempt by myself, but I knew ultimately that making sourdough bread was going to be something that like I really wanted to do. Now, as I said, I've been experimenting with other sourdough treats, but the bread is still my favorite. Now, like I said, since this point, I've actually made a different sourdough bread that is like the easiest, like literally guys, easy, foolproof, incredible, and super sustainable for your kitchen. I've been making that one like multiple times a week. And like I mentioned before, I filmed a video to teach you guys how to do that. At this point, it was time to shape my loaf. Now, I mentioned to you guys back in Nashville, Dan was like the sourdough leader. So I would like help, but really he was the one that was getting us going on sourdough. His brain works differently than mine, so he was quicker to adapt to the scary world of sourdough. If you watched my sourdough endeavors at all in Nashville, you know at that point I could only measure things out with cups. I was too intimidated by the scale, which sounds so ridiculous in retrospect, but whatever, that's how my brain works. I have to take baby steps. But yeah, now thanks to his help and tons of peeps on the internet, I'm feeling more and more confident. And on this day, when I wasn't feeling confident, we go back to follow the directions. And if you're going to do Lisa's recipe, watch the video. I watched the video like 5, 6, 7 times maybe. I would just like have it playing in the background. I'm telling you, I felt super intimidated, but I knew, and I know from all the other projects and skills I've tried to do and acquire in the past, in the beginning, it always feels like obnoxiously overwhelming and difficult to understand. But for real, as you go, you get it. Isn't that beautiful? It was really good. It was really good. So on this morning for breakfast, I decided to have a veggie omelet. It had been a minute, so I chopped up some mushrooms, bell peppers, onions, and also put in some cheddar cheese and I think a little goat cheese as well. And then on the side, I had half a banana, some kiwi, and a little bit of sourdough toast that I made. I also decided to brew some tea on this morning. Now, this tea was given to me by a friend of mine after I miscarried, and it was not only delicious, but it just meant so much to me. I still have some left, but I drank this tea basically exclusively for like a week. So shout out to you, Sonia. All right, so for dinner on this night, I decided I wanted to have a Zoodle fettuccine pasta. And so I started off by sauteing up some mushrooms and some sun-dried tomatoes. And then we made our squash and our zucchini into zoodles to be ready to go when I needed them. And then on the pan, I put some butter, some garlic, and I made a little roux by adding in some flour and some olive oil. I don't even know if I did this right. I was like kind of following a video. After I tell you guys to follow the directions, I don't even know what I was doing. Then I poured in some chicken broth. Then I added in a little bit of milk and let the whole pan simmer and kind of reduce so that it could get thicker. By the way, my favorite way to make zoodles now is to just put them in boiling water for 1 minute and then throwing them in the pasta sauce. Everybody needs to be really, really hyped for this bread recipe next week, because if you haven't found your own insanely simple sourdough bread recipe yet, then I'm about to change your whole life, because I'm not kidding. This is amazing and so easy. So on this afternoon, Logan and I decided to spend a little bit of time outside on our patio, building blocks, making little towers, just hanging out, having a good time. All right, fam, we are of course back in the kitchen, and on this night I was so excited because I decided to make sourdough pizza. So I started off by chopping up my veggies that I wanted to put on the pizza and sauteing them. Now, this was also an idea, inspiration situation that I got from Lisa, or Farmhouse on Boone again, and basically she just heats up her pizza stone and oils the pizza stone and puts the sourdough discard that you keep in the fridge onto the stone. Now, because the stone is already hot, what happens is as you try to maneuver the starter, which is just a sticky mess, and you spread it out to create a pizza, it kind of starts to pre-cook the dough, and it actually becomes easier the longer you're spreading the starter out to make it into a shape. Now, I will say, since this point, we have started putting the starter on parchment paper before it goes into the oven, and it makes this whole situation much easier because I cannot figure out how to get the starter to not stick to the pizza stone. We did it a couple of times with lots of oil and just cannot figure it out. So this is a cool idea, but didn't fully work for us, even though it ended up tasting amazing. Like, we were peeling it off of the stone and like cutting pieces off. It was so good. Now, on this day, Logan and I made our way out to see our friends in Spokane. So here we are hanging out at Spokane Discount, which has so many amazing deals. It's basically like Costco's warehouse. I got a few really great things. Then afterwards, we made our way to this insane and beautiful outside park. So we sat down and had a little picnic at first and shared a little charcuterie situation that we had bought at Trader Joe's. Then we made our way to the sandbox and soaked up the sun. It has been a long winter, and so we're all very happy for the sun to be coming back out. Does this qualify me as a cool mom? So that's it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed joining me this week for all of my cooking endeavors, and I hope to see you guys back here soon with another new video. Please give this one a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will, God willing, see you guys back here soon with another new video. Bye, guys.